beheading is the best way to start your day.
Welcome
everyone to the Division E calling the audible. I am Pease Del Ruiz. I am joined by Brett Botkin, of course. As I realized my mic was off.
It's amazing.
Because Chapman, dude, you can never have a Milano sandwich before podcast.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? That red in your face makes you look so much more angry. It's sunburn, by the way.
The sunburn from our golf game that I played before my playoff game, which we'll discuss in a second. I'm Pease. This is Brent. Brent can be followed at Bad News 51. You can send me all your trash talk at Pease FPF. I will respond. And of course, you can find Chapman wherever food is sold. So rounds 1 and 2 of the playoffs, we'll do recaps.
All right.
We will do recaps quickly because there's 1.5 billion games.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll get the previews. This is the script, by the way. I'm saying it as we're going.
I'm not paying attention.
So we'll do that. We'll do the recaps. We'll do previews. We'll update someone's stats. And then we'll get to...
Chapernames.
Yes, and then we'll get to...
Games of the week.
Yeah.
Yes. And that'll be the show. Nice and simple, straightforward. So we'll start with the first game of the wild card playoffs. Primetime took it to DGC 49-0. I mean, you didn't really see this going any other way, did you?
Not at all, man. I know I wrote in my article, same thing. In DGC, they have some talent on the team to kind of carry them going forward, but not enough to keep up with Primetime. They need a quarterback, DGC. They need a couple other pieces here and there.
Andrew DeMello 4 for 25.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Andrew DeMello's not a quarterback. Nicholas Borelli, good guys, but they're good receivers and DBs, but not quarterbacks.
Yeah, and even on defense, they don't. Playing zone is a difficult thing to understand. A lot of people think I need to stand in this general area, but it's about how you follow routes out, and lead your routes out of your zone, take on additional responsibility as they come into your zone, how to manage and how to communicate when you have two guys in your zone, and how to adjust with that, like in a team construct, how to deal with floods and crosses. They just don't know how to do that, and that's gonna take some time. Boys, like there's no other way to learn that besides playing a whole bunch of games.
Yeah, your best thing, like Peter saying, you got to play. You also try and get some scrimmages, try and get some practices, because we see a lot of teams running a 4-1 or a 3-2 or a 2-3. But like you're saying, if you don't know what to do, if the slot does a post and the wide receiver does a go, or the wide receiver does a hook, the slot does a corner, the center does an underneath route, where do we go? What do we do? Practice, and get some games in.
Brent, how many snaps have you played on defense in your life?
I played this season. Have a season high of defensive snaps. I gotta say somewhere in the 60s.
All right. Do you have any interceptions?
Yeah, I do.
Right.
Yeah, I got my first one this year.
Nice. There we go. I've played maybe 100 snaps, 150 snaps on defense, and I have 5 or 6 interceptions. And it's not because we're physical games. The thing is, it's a league where the field is small enough and manageable enough that you can make a lot of plays just by being in the right place, doing the right thing. So if you see guys like us at the field, Chapman, by the way, Chapman is the best defender in this room. He's far better than either of us. He had a great game last night. But if you see us, we're good resources. We can help you get better. We can talk to you and help you figure this thing out. So DGC, but any other team, any other struggling team, feel free, come see us. We love talking about this game. Definitely. We literally do it once a week for an hour. Eagle, the hell with you. We'll do it for as long as we want.
Some of it's going to get here an hour and a half.
Wait. I thought you were the head of the media piece. Don't you get to decide how long the shows are?
But that's why I'm doing it.
I'm just throwing this out there.
But that's why I get to do it. And Eagle complains about it. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll tell my boss. So yeah, prime time for them. A great game by Stephen Harper-Sow. I like that he hit a lot of his receivers. Michael Ianella, a guy we haven't even talked a lot about this season, but great contributing member of the team. Spartans win the rematch against Just the Reps. I think having a late season matchup helped Spartans more than it helped Just for the Reps.
Yeah, I mean, and usually, you see a team, the Spartans knocked them off 25-20, I believe, in week 10. And we said it time and time again, it's hard to beat a team 2 weeks in a row, especially when the second game is a playoff game. But I figured going into that one, seeing, again, it was a 5-point victory by the Spartans. They blew them out 32-6 Sunday night in Lachine. And I'm not surprised that the Spartans won it all. I picked them to win, but I'm just surprised by the score. Just for the Reps, it was over by halftime. They were down 20-6. quarterback Jared Buck, who I like a lot. I think he's a good quarterback, especially for Division E. He looked
But they
lost
knew
out there.
they knew exactly what they were doing. There were no adjustments for just the reps. They really
Yeah.
just went out and had the same exact game plan. Spartans adjusted really well, especially on defense.
Yeah.
And dude, I'm telling you, Alexandre Joubinville, by the way, recent quarterback for Carabin. He's officially on the roster as a quarterback.
Really?
Yeah, found that out yesterday.
Okay.
Congratulations to him. Charles David Martel and Alexis Bissett. That's the best receiving trio in Division E. And if they're all playoff eligible and they're all healthy, and my God, the Spartans just got a whole lot better.
No, definitely. I mean, those two receivers are the only receivers that caught passes. Between them, they had 12 receptions and 4 touchdowns.
And they have role fillers too, like Messi's good. They have
Messi's good. That's Samuel
Casavant's
Bissett.
good. Samuel Bissett.
Yeah, he's a
they
good
have a
player,
lot of
rookie.
guys that rotate in and out on the, but those are the 3 main dudes, you know.
Those are the 3 main dudes, and I also want to throw in Daniel Hernandez. We know Daniel
Yeah,
Hernandez for the last
Great
couple
utility
seasons.
player, can
Yeah,
play both
he's more of a
ways.
DB, but I find this season, especially with the Bissett injury early
Mhm.
on, he got his chance this season to shine. He's paying it forward as well. But speaking to your point now, it is a huge 3 receiver monster, if you will, for the Spartans.
Dirty Mike and the boys wiped out Schwad President 31-0.
Yeah, I watched that game. It was I feel bad for Laswada President, but one side of me feels bad. I mean, it didn't score any points. It sucks. And I've seen this team struggle throughout the seasons under various names. But you know what? This is their first time making the playoffs.
Mhm.
It's nice to get their feet wet, get some experience, learn something from this, from what happened, and hopefully come back better. I mean, we saw Gabriel Belon Lapointe, excuse me. He was 10 of 23 with 2 picks. Not the playoff debut he wants, but again, it's only going to make them better, I think, going forward.
Gabriel Velan Lapointe throws a decent ball, but he has to realize he's more Peas than he is Steve Young. He needs to call plays that are quicker developing, and he doesn't have. It's a nice ball, but it's not. He doesn't throw with a lot of velocity, and for that reason,
it hangs in the air forever.
yes, he needs to call plays with the ball gets out of his hands, and his players can get the yards for him. If he does that, I think we'll see a better version of Choix Président. For Dirty Mike and the boys, it's amazing. You see Gabriel Bell on the point go 10 for 23. Jordan Allard has a very similar game, 13 and 21, but 197 and 5 touchdowns. So that's a big difference there.
There you go.
Smoking Axolotls took out Expendables. You were there for that game.
Yeah, it was a pretty good
26-19.
game. Yeah, pardon me. Sorry. No, really good game by Steph Fence's team, the Smoking A's. It was 13-7 at halftime, and they gave up a couple of second half touchdowns to the Expendables to make it a little closer than what it was. But I find with the Smoking A's, their ability to, when their backs are against the wall, as I saw, we'll get to that, what happened last night. But when their backs are against the wall, more often than not, they'll come out and make the big play. Obviously, we talk about Rory Submergian all the time. He's arguably one of the best receivers in Division E, and even last year in Division 6. Chris Brockwell, another good two-way threat. The chemistry between Rossi, Submergian, and Brockwell, I think, is phenomenal. Whether it's 1st and 10 or 2nd and 20 or 3rd and 15, he knows the goal. They know the ball's coming. The defenders know the ball's coming, but yet they still make a play.
Yeah. It's just they have guys who can make plays for Jordan Rossi, so that's impressive. For the Expendables, Devaldi, not a very good game. I mean, he moved the ball, but he just couldn't punch it in. And you know, like there's a turnover, but also just the inability to punch it in was a big issue here.
I think it was the inability to punch it in, and also Damien Jean-Jacques, who I feel is the best player on the Expendables. He was shut down.
One catch
in that game. One
It was a
catch.
touchdown.
He went for a touchdown, but 6 yards. If coming into the game, someone's gonna tell me that Damien Jean-Jacques is gonna have 1 catch for 6 yards. You know what? I'll take it. I don't care if he scores a touchdown or not. He's their best player. They need him to step up and make plays, and he didn't. And the offense kind of fell by the wayside a little bit in crunch time.
For sure. Little Giants taking it to Farmers. I was a little bit surprised by this because I thought at the very least this would be a closer game, but they won 26-6.
I'm not really surprised with the upset. Little Giants, they have some talent on the team despite the record and despite what happened to them last night. We'll get to that later. But that's been the story of the Farmers season. Benoit Robideau, the quarterback, he has one good game where he looks like, all right, you know what? He's ready to take the next step in Division 6, Division E as a quarterback and carry his team. And then he has a game like this where he goes 6 of 20 for 90 yards. I mean, 6 of 20 is not going to cut it.
Absolutely. And the key guy missing on the roster for Farmers was Greenway.
Yeah.
Not there this game.
But do you feel, let me ask you, do you feel if Greenway is there, do the Farmers come back and get the W? Well, it's closer for sure, yeah.
I think it's probably 18-6 or 12-6. And because he makes a huge difference on defense.
Yeah.
His knowledge and his experience would have given Shane Hughes trouble. Shane Hughes, he's a guy who I feel plans a lot of his reads in the huddle. I got a chance to watch him quite a bit yesterday. We'll talk about that game as well. And that's the feel I got, was he doesn't actually go through proper progressions. He just kind of knows where he wants to go with the ball. And a guy like Greenway is a former Division 1 player, so he's gonna know how to have his defense adapt for that. One Speed Power, upsetting part of my swag. Brad Evans looked very unhappy in his Hawaiian shirt as he left the field. He doesn't like losing to me, I can tell you that much. We have kind of a friendly rivalry. I joke about him, but we do get along. We are friends.
Yeah, he's a good guy for sure.
In fact, I always say, like, if I'm joking about you, unless you're Armando Trotta, I usually because I like you as a person. But in this game here, it was bizarre. I threw a pick six to the Russian.
Yeah, I was gonna say I played today.
They were that got them up 32-31. We had the ball back with 6 or 7 plays, and we scored the second last play. So, and then into Daniel Bornstein, who made a nice play for me. But yeah, that's how that game went.
I gotta say this quickly. I've seen rushers in my time in FPF get an interception and even run it back for a touchdown, which I think is a phenomenal play. But which you didn't tell the audience, but you told me previously, he picked you off more or less from his own goal line or from in his red zone.
We were on the maybe 5-yard line. My rusher had a hook wide open from the end zone, and I was like, okay, well, we're scoring here, game over. So I put the ball up, and it just sort of stuck to his hands, and he had a full head of steam running forward, right? So I was like, I'm not going to run him down. So
I've never seen a rusher running back from more or less his end zone all the way to the other. That's pretty impressive.
Well, if anyone picks me off in the red zone, it's usually a pick because I don't have the speed to catch up to them. So,
but I will give you guys credit. Even more impressive is the fact you guys overcame that and came back down the field, marched out, and won the game pretty much with 2 plays left.
We had 90 seconds left. Chapman came up to me and said, "You have 2 timeouts." I said, "I don't need them." I knew the exact 5 to 7 plays I was going to run. And for me to have 8 or 9, it was just going to give them more plays. You know what I mean? So I knew what I wanted to do, and we were able to execute. And luckily, we got away with that win. So 37-32. The next game, Sons of Mitch's upset Los Avocados, who are now lost.
Lost Avocados.
And no longer found Avocados. They've lost their season.
Expired.
They have found the golf course. Patrick Manning, solid game. Managed it well. I don't consider like game manager to be an insult.
Not at all. No.
And in this case, he did a good job, and he looked good. Jordan Ferre, 2 touchdowns. Happy to see that because he is their best player, and it's good to see the best players come on in the biggest moments.
And I gotta say, like I was on the sidelines for that entire game, and that score kind of flatters Los Avocados a little bit. There's a lot of drop passes by the Sons of Mitch's receivers, especially Jared Stewart dropped a couple of passes over the middle, a couple of the guys as well. I'll give credit to Los Avocados after scoring only 6 points in the first half. They scored 12 points in the second half, and I'll tell you what, the last 10 minutes of the game, they pretty much did all their damage. They had all the momentum, and it required basically a stop on a conversion for Sons of Mitchell to get the win. Los Avocados got the ball back with 2 plays left from pretty much – they got a penalty, actually. They got an offsides penalty with 2 plays left, so they redid first down from basically their 5-yard line and 2 Hail Marys. It didn't work, and that was it.
Does Brad Demers play offense for Sons of Mitchell? Because the game I saw, he did it.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
It's bizarre to me that he doesn't have an offensive contribution. He's one of the better like utility guys in the low division that you can pretty much put him anywhere in the field and he does a good job. You know,
You know what it is though with their offense with Patrick Manning. I actually had an interesting conversation with Simon Dagenet, an FPF.
that's the first time it's ever happened.
About
Someone's had an interesting conversation with
exactly.
Simon
Just talking about Patrick Manning. What he does, he likes to roll it a lot. Sometimes he'll keep it and run. As we saw this game, he had 4 carries for 15 yards. But he'll roll out to one side, which, as you know, as a quarterback, kind of cuts down the whole opposite side of the field.
Mm-hmm.
So it happened a lot where he was rolling out to the side where Demers was not, and just chucking it off to the slot or to the wide receiver on that side. So it's, at least for that game, I saw last night he did have a couple of catches, but in that game,
there's
he didn't have any.
There's ways to quote unquote move the pocket by running a flood, a 4-man flood to that side. You should do it to both sides because that just helps
You
the
have to,
defense.
yeah.
And secondly, what Manning does is he rolls out too far towards the sideline, or it's really limited.
Exactly. See, I was going to say that.
Because you'll have a better impact just taking 3 or 4 steps to one side and still having the ability to throw to the backside.
That's it. But when you find yourself literally a yard away from the sideline and you're trying to throw, that's usually a recipe for disaster, and that's what happened in that game. That's what I'm saying. He cut off one side of the field from himself and from his team to roll up to a side and try to throw to somebody. But,
yeah. Pension Plan took it to Face Jazz. I thought that was a terrible matchup for Face Jazz. It proved to be right. Eddie Russo really struggled to move the ball. Vince Pizzano, on the other hand, very efficient. Nothing spectacular, but just an efficient game. 3 touchdowns, 105 yards. Got the job done. And Joe Marzellano with an interception and a touchdown.
And I think being efficient, or efficiency, if you will, is Pizzano's key to success when he's, dinking and dunking, taking what the defense gives him instead of trying to take long bombs and airing it out. When he's just dinking and dunking, being smart and protecting the football, that's the key for him in that team.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. That brings us to the divisional playoffs. A couple of upsets in the first round. That trend changed somewhat in the second round in divisional playoffs. TBA was one of the teams to be upset, although I didn't consider this to be much of an upset because Primetime got better as the season went on. 51-19, they look to be the best offense in the playoffs right now.
I think they're the best offense, either them or I can even say Moss City. But again, TBA, they were missing Clet Sakara. So he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. He didn't play. It was mostly Eric Vosco, one of the top receivers, having to fill in at quarterback. I watched the beginning of that game, using his speed and athleticism, rolling onto the side and chucking it up. 50-50 balls almost the entire time. So you feel bad for TBA. They're missing a quarterback, didn't have much of a chance, but regardless, Stephen Harper he just picked apart the TBA defense.
But that's what he does, and I've said all season, he is the best.
He's the better piece.
He's very efficient. I say it because essentially he calls a lot of the same plays I do, and it's like. In my head, this is how I want to run those plays, and he does that well.
And what I liked about him though is, besides the point, he's rolling out and tossing it, the slants and the in routes, he would sit in the pocket and wait for openings. Yeah. And as soon as he saw something, like they gave it the middle of the field a lot, he would throw the seam route, he'd throw the post route. He would see a corner cheat down a bit, he'd have the wide receiver do a hook. The corner would cheat down, so the slot would do a corner.
And that's the thing is when I say he's the better version of Pease, is he has a better arm, but he doesn't have the strongest arm. And for guys who don't have the strongest arms, we like to throw the ball in the middle of the field more than the sidelines because that's a harder throw. So if you leave the middle of the field open against a guy like Stephen Harper, he's going to destroy you.
It's true.
And I recognize it because I know for me it's a dream. When I hear, for example, cover 2, when I see cover 2 and it's the corners dropping, oh my God. It's game because it's the thing he wants to do. It's what he wants to do. He wants to attack the middle of the field, and you can't give him that. And that's what happened in this game. Spartans beat West Atlanta Squad 30-0 because can we call this DBD? Can we call this Don't Be Douchebags? Or is it too like
I can't. No, I won't, because some of the issues that they had with some of the calls last night, I could actually see their point. There's certain times where they went a bit too far.
Well, let's explain what happened.
Okay, so basically, I had a chance to watch that game last night. It started in the second half. There was a touchdown by the Spartans, and they were going for the 2-point conversion. Now, some of you guys, if you're familiar, pardon me, with Charles David Martel, he's a big receiver.
Mm-hmm.
He went in. He did a back of the end zone in. So James Dandria threw the ball right to the middle where Charles was going. Charles went to dive for the ball, but there was already a defender standing there who had position on the ball. That was Joseph Haddad, pardon me.
Mm-hmm.
So Joseph was standing there waiting for the interception to come on a 2-point conversion, and Charles David basically crushed him. Hit him, fell over. He ended up breaking his collarbone. He had to call the ambulance. That's unfortunate. But
Absolutely,
what happened,
we hope he gets.
No,
we hope
definitely not.
he gets
He's a good guy, and you never want to see that happen. We come out to have some fun and you play some football for friends, so on and so forth. You don't want to see anybody have to leave the game with injury, especially by ambulance. So, Haddad, pardon me, got called for a penalty on the play. He got called for pass interference. Now, some of the West Little Squad members, obviously, they were incensed with the call. They were mad at the referee. So one of the members of the team got an OC called against them.
And also, just so everyone knows, West Last Squad, we're only 6 players in this game.
Yeah, well, that's exactly.
So with Haddad gone, now they're 5.
Yeah, they're 5. Yeah. So one of the players got an OC called against them. So then they retry the conversion, doesn't go through. So West Little Squad is still up 33-30. So another OC gets called a few plays later. I believe it was against Alexander Turcotte. So now Alexander Turcotte has an OC and Michael Kazaka has an OC.
Mm-hmm.
A few plays after that OC gets called, Kazaka says something to the referee. He gets another OC, so that's 2 OCs. So he gets ejected from the game. Now, as we know with the FPF rules, you're not allowed to play 6-on-4. But the referees were being nice and were saying, you know what, guys, it's a playoff game. You guys are up. You still have a chance to win. We're still going to let you play. Another OC was thrown. I believe another one was thrown against Turcotte. So it's 2 OCs for him. So he's ejected from the game. Ends up being 6-on-3. The referees called it. So basically, the West Little Squad was up 33-30, although it's just a 30-0 score because it's by default. And because of the multiple OCs that they got and not having enough players, they forfeit the game.
That's insane.
That's I think that's the first in FPF playoff history for that.
For that specific circumstance, yeah. Absolutely. Chapman, can you look up if it was the first time in FPF history?
It's the first time.
I'll take it. Well done with the research, Chapman. Lightning fast.
I talked to Michael Kazaka after the game, and I understand his frustration. I mean, you know what? Sometimes we get OCs. Sometimes it's deserved. Other times it's not. The latter OCs that happened in that game, they were deserved. If you're going to be mouthing off to the rest, listen, bad calls are going to happen or missed calls are going to happen sometimes. The referees are human just like we are. Yeah, but like mouthing off to the refs.
miss throws and catches the way they miss calls.
Well, that's exactly it. So, I mean, mouthing off to the refs over and over, you're going to get another OC. And it sucks, especially because somebody got hurt, and that was the basis of the whole dispute, the whole argument. But you can't get yourself kicked out of a game or have to forfeit a game, especially in the playoffs, because you know what? Your season's over now. Yeah.
Moss City beat Smoking Axles 32-26. I thought this was a bad matchup for the Axles. They need a team that weren't far more athletic than they were, and that's exactly what Moss City is. Bruno Provencher, 2 touchdowns. Victor Riferati, 3 touchdowns. Just too much firepower, in my opinion, for Smoking Axles.
Well, you know what it was, man? I watched this game. This game really came down to the wire. Moss City was killing them in the first half. It wasn't even close. It was 20-7, and really the way Moss City was playing looked like it could have been 28 or maybe even 32 or what have you to 7. But credit to Smoking Axles, they came back in the second half.
They started with the ball in the second half, though, right?
Yeah, they started with the ball in
the
second half. So
it did give them an advantage to
because what they did, what happened is Moss City went for a Hail Mary the last play of the first half. Mm-hmm. They tossed out the ball, and Jason Rossi, he basically shouldered the receiver without even attempting to try and make a play on the ball, and the receiver fell to the ground. I'm gonna start
this by saying I like Jordan Rossi. Uh-huh. I like him. Is it Jordan or Jason? Sorry,
it's Jason.
Sorry, Jason. I like that's what I was thinking. I like Jason Rossi. I like Jordan too, by the way. Jordan, I'm not talking trash. I like Jason Rossi too. I think he's a good guy. I really enjoy talking to him at the fields. Yeah. One of the most. Yeah. He's one of these people when I walk into a room, I just smile because he's got a nice personality. It's not the first time he's done that. Mm-hmm. It's unnecessary. It's flag football. Don't be dirty. Don't try and hurt people. there's got to be more important things in your life than this. And if you understand that, then you understand that there's more important things than this game in other people's lives. So you shouldn't be trying to hamper that part of their livelihood. We all have to work the next day. While I like the dude, the player irritates me at times. There's one clear example of it in the finals with Smoking Axles against Trinity last summer.
Yeah.
And I said in the broadcast that should have been a call, and he's got to be careful because he made no attempt on the ball, and that's. I'm okay with finding the holes in the rule book and so on and so forth, and I'm okay with getting a hold, but if you're putting players in danger, I'm not okay with that, and that's when hitting players from behind it does put players in danger. So,
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I hope it's something that in his game that changes, because then I could like all parts of the man. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But go ahead. Sorry, I had to interject.
I was gonna say, and there was a lot of chatter going on between actually both Rossi brothers and members of Moss City. But anyways, so what happened is they made a stop at the end of the first half because Moss City, instead of taking a penalty and having a retry on the on the last play of the first half, they took the penalty yards and brought them over to the second half, and Jason Rossi had to sit out for 5 plays. So basically, fast forwarding, this game came down to the final possession. Smoke and Lancelots had the ball at about midfield. It was fourth and 15, let's say, 4th and 12. And Jason Rossi threw an incomplete pass, but he got hit as he threw the ball. So they extended the drive, obviously a first down with 5 plays left. Smoke and Lancelots had the ball at about in the red zone, so let's say about the 10, maybe 9-yard line. They had about 4 chances, and the last pass of the game ended up being knocked away. I believe it was by, I will tell you in a second, pardon me, it was by number 4, Sifas Kassid. He knocked the ball away at the last second. Yeah. So, considering, my point is, considering where the Smoke and Lancelots were at the beginning of the game, even at the halftime, they were arguing with each other. They were screaming at each other in the huddle, on the sidelines. To be able to come back and make a spirited effort and to make this game really close, because again, it came down to the last play. The ball got knocked away from Rory Submergian. I gotta give Smoke and Lancelots credit, but again, Moss City, arguably, who I think right now is probably the top team in DV right now, at least.
Yeah,
their backs are against the wall. They still pulled it out.
It's one of the teams where had we move forward, which we'll talk about in a second, I did not want to face.
Definitely.
So
not.
I agree
definitely
with you.
not. Yeah.
A team nobody wanted to face going into the playoffs was Greendale Human Beings, winning in a tighter manner than expected over Sons of Mitch's 32-20. Danny Aylward was okay, 4 touchdowns, not spectacular.
You know what though, his stats might not pop out at you. 15 of 18 for 132. His only 3 completions came on the team's last drive. He was perfect the whole game.
3 incompletions.
So 3 incompletions.
Okay, well that obviously changes a lot of that for sure.
Yeah, he had over 100 yards rushing. So I mean, I think he's doing something right. But again, speaking to your point though, this is the thing, and I felt this the last couple of weeks with the Beans. I know in my power rankings I had them pretty high up. They're not as good as last winter's team. Pardon me.
I find that the loss of
Alex
Zoltapov changes the team.
Yeah,
it changes the way the team looks. It just doesn't look as scary.
And that's exactly it. I mean, all respect to the guys that they added for this season.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from those guys because they're all playmakers in their own right. But they've lost 2 games and they lost 1 in the winter, and they've been in a lot of tight games, a lot of 1 possession games where more often than not they come out on top. But we've seen they've lost 2 games this season, even against Sons of Mitch's. That game, the 32-20 score isn't exactly accurate because they were up actually 26-20 in the final.
But that's what I'm saying.
Like
so. It was closer than anyone would have expected in this game.
And it basically came down. Patrick Manning threw a pick. It was actually a really bad pass, and it got ran back.
Let me guess. He rolled to a side, threw the ball back across his body, and it was intercepted.
What happened is.
I was warming up for my game, so I didn't see it.
You got the half right. He ran across it to one side of the field, and he threw a pass to a receiver, and it was like about 10 feet over his head. And Brandon Aylward came down with the INT.
But that's the footwork because his feet aren't set when he's throwing because he's always rolling to the side.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Pardon me, it wasn't a pick 6, but they scored a few plays later. Danny Aylward ran for a touchdown.
I was there for the Super Troopers pension plan game. Chapman, what did pension plan do wrong?
They needed to throw the junior more.
Junior Sparrow was running 5-yard hooks and left alone the entire game. Vince Pisano could literally have thrown the ball 14 times. Like he had 26 completions in this game. They moved the ball really well. A lot of them were on hooks to Anthony Sigia, and we saw quick plays to Anthony Marzolano. Marco Rinaldi, Mario Rinaldi is the guy that Pisano likes to try the deep shots to. Honestly, great defensive effort by Super Troopers. The score here doesn't fully tell the story either.
No.
Vince Pisano kept trying to call post and wheel, and Gabriel Wiseman shut down both. He would sit on the post, bait the wheel, and then break on the wheel and take that away. Other than a play early when it worked, he basically shut down the rest of the game.
I'll tell you 3 mistakes. Well, I'll tell you 2 actually. First one is you're right. Junior needs to get more passes because he was wide open. For a guy that size, he has some quick feet. I'll tell you, he knows how to get open and create separation.
Covering him was so hard because if he boxes you out, you're not getting around him.
Like I said, I think it was last week. I said in the podcast, he bossed me out a whole bunch of times when we played against him.
Same here, and we're not small dudes.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I still feel that shoulder in the sternum. That's the biggest. That's
it's
one
more
mistake.
Your soul and your spirit.
Yeah, you know what? Absolutely right, brother. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I think that was one of the biggest mistakes. Not throwing the ball enough to Hermano Gonzalez Bermudez, who I think is the fastest guy in the field between both teams. He didn't get that many.
Zach Swern can
Zach Swern can fly, but I mean, this kid, he's no slouch. He's pretty fast. Yeah. I think they needed to get the ball in his hands a lot. And you know what? In defense of Vince Pisano, the pension plan had a lot of drops.
Yeah.
A lot of drops, especially Anthony Sigia. He's a big play receiver, their best player for sure. Just he came up, a couple passes bounced off his chest and a couple other guys as well. So I think that really let them down.
Yeah, it's look, in the end, it came down they had maybe 6 or 7 plays left to win the game, and had they marched down the field, we would have had an overtime game. So the fact that it was that close for that long, it really was an enjoyable game to watch. Really, a lot of fun.
Definitely.
So, Super Troopers move on. Pension plan almost as deserving, just not quite. So congratulations, Super Troopers, and sorry about that pension plan. By the way, Anthony Sigia, Vince Pisano, Junior Spera, they stuck around to watch our game, and I gotta give especially Anthony Sigia a shout out. He was helping me a lot with my play calling. He was like, "Hey, I don't know if you saw this, but the defense did that. Why don't you try doing this?" And it just reminded me of how great a community FPF really is.
There you go,
man. The people just love this game. You know what I mean? And it was really cool to see. And was happy for that. You know.
There you go. Yeah.
Homo sapiens beat Little Giants. This is so in this game specifically. Oh, sorry, I opened the wrong one. One thing I noticed, Little Giants did not adjust.
Not at all. On
defense. At one point, Jim Coletteris ran a post. It was a fly post combination. And GM awkwardly stopped running and then continued running and then couldn't catch up to Francois Laurier's ball that fluttered but carried into the end zone. The next play was literally the exact same route combination from all 5 receivers. This time, Coletteris came down with the ball for a touchdown. It's so bizarre. Like, already to give the quarterback the same look twice in a row is troublesome, especially when that quarterback's Francois Laurier, who's as intelligent as
been around for a while.
Yeah. And the other part of that is just knowing that you need to make a play and you can't because you just haven't thought it through. You haven't thought it through. Shane Hughes looked awful. He has some of the most, and I won't say worst, but some of the most bizarre mechanics. Like he almost throws off his back foot by choice, and then kind of 3/4 the ball, and like he's just a lot more comfortable. It seems throwing to his right side because of his very open passing stance. I guess it's the cat calling the cat calling the kettle. Yo, kettle, come over here.
The pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah, no, it's not those. This is the cat calling the kettle. I lost my words. Anyway, because my footwork is terrible, but like that's something where if Shane Hughes can improve, he has a good arm and he's a smart play caller, but his stance just doesn't allow him to execute his play calls.
Yeah, his mechanics definitely need some work, as you're saying. And it's funny that you mentioned he's more comfortable or he's better throwing to his right. I saw a horrible pick six to David Weiss, pardon me, where Shane kind of opened up his hips and threw it, and
That's what I'm saying. He has a super open throwing stance.
the DB was the only person there. There was no receiver in sight, and he just
Great route, but
he looked like he was kind of surprised. Like, oh, okay, all right, I'm just gonna run this back into the end zone now, and not to crap on Little Giants. I mean, hey, listen, they knocked off the Farmers. They played good. Unfortunately, they kind of failed to show up against the Homo sapiens. What Peace is saying is right. I actually talked to GM as well, and he was just shocked that they were playing man defense because he's like they were killing them. And as you said, there was no adjustments. And I mean, whatever division you guys play in, stuff's gonna work offensively, defensively, and then stuff will not. And you guys, you have to A, know what you're doing, but B, you need to be able to make adjustments when stuff's not working. Because if you're gonna go back to the same thing,
the worst cliche in sports, because it's wrong, is we just gotta play our game.
No.
You need to constantly be making adjustments.
You have to. If anything, not even just for yourselves, just to confuse the other team. Because that will open up things for you, especially offensively. If you could come up with, or even at both sides, actually. If you could come up with, like, let's say you line up in a man defense, or you line up in a zone defense. As soon as the ball snaps, he switches to man, or vice versa. Doing that to a quarterback, especially quarterbacks who don't have as much experience or aren't as skilled, it's huge.
So the progression for quarterbacks in FPF who are running the game is the first few seasons they learn how to read their players. The second as they get better, the second step is they start to read the defensive backs.
Yeah.
Like you stop looking at your receivers and you start knowing where they are, and you start reading where the defenders are. And then the next step is to try and predict what the defense will do and figure out how you're going to attack that.
Yeah.
What's it called? Yeah. So the thing I noticed about this game, I see Sergio Sicoli with 0 catches, and I've played with Sergio before. He's a guy that I've loved using in the red zone. Just he's quicker than people expect, and he's a big physical guy with giant hands. Like literally, he looks like he has foam fingers. Like team number 1 sort of thing. He it surprises me that on a lot of the teams he's played on, he hasn't had the impact that I expect him to.
Well, you know what? Actually, he should have had a touchdown last night. He'd be the first to tell you. He dropped a touchdown pass.
He does. So the other side of Sergio is Sergio's good until his first drop, and then it's his first of many. Fair enough. It's the drops don't even happen in his hands. The drops happen in his head. And he's his own worst enemy that way. So yeah, I can see that kind of game happening too. Then, Yamajo beat Dirty Mike and the boys. It was while my game was happening, so I don't know what happened. So I'll defer to you. I was talking to Terrence Dobson and Anton Sakis and Avi Mazel after the game, and they were super hyped to be moving on. So, but I'll let you describe the game.
No, it's a pretty good game. Unfortunately, the injury bug struck once again as Jonathan McQueen, defensive back wide receiver for Dirty Mike and the boys. He went down early in the first half with a really bad-looking injury. Yeah, it definitely changed. And you know what? I'll give him credit because I was sitting next to him on the bench when to get him some ice, and he was still trying to come back in the game. Like I had to talk to him, GM had to talk to him to tell him, bro, okay, listen, just gotta chill. Even if you don't think it's as bad as you think it is, like for the rest of the night, just relax and see what happens in the morning. But he stayed on the sideline. He was still cheering on his team and trying to help them by calling out plays of what to do on defense. So he went from player to coach. So hats off to him. The game, it was, I know if you look at the score, 24-19, end of the first half, Yamajo Station was up 12-6. It just felt like they were up. Yeah, man.
We've been talking about this game for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, but I don't know when you guys are going to say the team name. There's also a little bit of a delay, Kevin. Notice. Like, watch.
You're the delay.
Watch. I clicked.
Instant.
That one was.
It was
the Korean one. But the Koreans take their time, let me tell you.
I mean, that's racially insensitive.
No, but it says Korean pronunciation. The Norwegians don't waste any time, apparently.
I'm not gonna bust your balls because you bought the sandwich tonight, so I appreciate that, dude.
You better not bust my balls.
I got you. But anyways, getting back to my point, Yamajo stash. Yamajo was up 12-6 at halftime.
Yamajo Station.
It felt like
some help pronouncing it, Brent.
Frank,
So
I appreciate it. It felt like they came off at the end of the first half, making a stop on Dirty Mike and the boys. They had a chance to tie it up. They didn't. The looks on the faces of some of the Dirty Mike and the boys guys, and the look on the faces of the Yamajo guys, it felt like this game was 30-0 at Yamajo at the half. That's how it felt like, despite the fact they were only up by a touchdown. The athleticism in this game was off the charts. Both teams traded a lot of points and they traded a lot of stops as well. Ended up coming down to the last possession. Dirty Mike and the boys got a stop. They got the ball back with, I believe it was 5 plays left. They marched pretty much half the field. They got it just above the midfield point. And, pardon me, even closer, just outside the red zone, pardon me. And Jordan Allard had about 2 chances to get it in. And his last pass actually just went over the receiver's head, and he was actually open, and it went at the back of the end zone. That was the end of the game. It's for Yamajo Station, for Yamajo, pardon me. They're a confident team. They're an aggressive team. They're extremely athletic. I hadn't had a chance to watch them. I watched them, I think, week 2 and 3. I hadn't watched them since then, to be honest. I apologize, gentlemen. But they're a really good team. They're ferocious. Terrence Dobson, is he the best quarterback? No, but he delivers the ball. He knows how to use his legs.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. But he knows how to use his legs to extend plays and wait for his wide receivers to get open. So this is definitely a dangerous team.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that Dirty Mike and the boys won a lot of games this season by being the more athletic team. That wasn't going to happen with Yamajo.
And that's exactly what I said in my article. That's 100% what I said. Pardon me. Because you're right. They have more size, Yamajo. In my article, they have more size, and you're right. They have more speed for sure.
Definitely. Or at the very least, like even if it's a tie with athleticism, if that's the only way you've won all season, that won't help you in that kind of game.
Definitely. And I gotta say, sorry, just one more thing, sorry, please. I think this might have broken the record for sacks in the game. For Gianni Johnson with 6, for Dirty Mike and the boys, and for Damian Thomas Anderson with 4. So that's 10 crazy. Sacks in one game is pretty tight.
That's I don't even understand how quarterbacks get sacked 3 times in a season, to be honest. Yeah. So it's bizarre. And that's it for the games.
We're not gonna do it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, all right. So moving forward to the quarterfinals, and not talking about Hot Boys Hotline 1 Speed Power. What? Sorry.
Hot Boys
Hotline.
Hotline.
You're paying attention.
Hot Boys Hotline in a very heated game against 1 Speed Power pulled out a 28-21 victory. I threw an interception to Edward Valme, even though I was warned several times not to test him. The read looked open. He baited me. He made a great play.
Yeah,
it's just how I play. Is I throw the read that I see. I don't think about which player it is. I don't think about who's covering him. I just read the play, and he picked it off. And then Tom Gatehouse, in his best Peas impersonation, threw a ball that was intercepted by Will Power. Gave us a chance to win the game. We marched down to the 5-yard line. So, the play I called, it specifically attacked the defense that they ran. I wanted to roll a step or 2 to my left, delay, and then throw to the cone where Joseph James was waiting by himself, waving at me. But I saw something break open. My receiver stopped running. I threw the ball. It was miscommunication. I wanted to do something he hadn't done all season without explaining to him what he wanted to do. And I ended up throwing it in the chest of Tabari Yearwood. Great play by him. Great game by Hot Boys Hotline. And they won. That's my analysis. So if you got anything to add, go ahead. I feel like getting very drunk.
I gotta say the expression, pardon me, the happiness and the look on the face and the screaming that was done by Will Power after getting the aforementioned interception was
we were hyped.
amazing.
We were hyping that game.
Yeah, you guys were hyped. He was at a whole different level. He was
well. Him and Edward Valme got into it and were in each other's face all game, and there's a lot of chirping. Some threats were made, and so
let's. I don't want you to appear biased, so I'll have your back on this one. In the "Don't Be a Douchebag" segment, which we are going to be doing for sure in the winter season.
DVD.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, I talk a little trash when I play. I have no problem.
Dude, I'm the
when
worst.
people- yeah,
I am the worst person.
I have no problem when
when it
people
comes
talk
to trash
trash to
talk.
me.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool. We're here to have fun. We're here to play some ball, whether you play tackle or not, or other leagues or whatever, what have you. We're here to have some fun and play some football. It is what it is, right? It's what we're paying money for. It's okay to talk trash. You get a little physical here and there, not to the Jason
Never hurt
Rossi
somebody,
levels. Yeah, not to hurt somebody. I'm sorry for throwing you under the bus too, but it is what it is. But
We have to have a
like-
segment called "It Is What It Is" too.
yeah, you know, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. But when you go and you make a play, like to borrow your word, okay, you know, I understand he picked you off and ended the game. He was screaming and shouting and so on and so forth. But in the middle of the game, when you score a touchdown on somebody and you're just talking trash and staring them down and saying, "Don't come at me and don't test me," you know what? Grow up. Honestly, grow up.
And the thing is, Edward Valme is actually a corner for Momanasi,
Yeah. Which is
whose
fine.
head coach is a good friend of mine, Fred Morissette. So, and on top of that, it's just like, dude, if we're getting under your skin, what's gonna happen in your tackle season?
It's true.
Because
I-
we're
I've-
nobodies.
I played a ton of tackle in my life. Trust me, a lot of dirty stuff happens, and a lot more trash talking than you see here in FPF. But again, I mean, I understand. You know, you want to win with class, and you know, not everyone's going to be a choir boy or what have you. But when you're rubbing your opponent's face in it, pardon me, I think you know we should all have a little bit of class. No one's here to get embarrassed. No one's here to be, you know, to look like a fool. You know, you make a big play. Hey, it's great to celebrate a big play, but don't start talking trash to the point where it gets abusive or threatening people. You're going to meet them outside in the parking lot. Look, okay, let's be honest, dude. Come on. Let's be serious about this. Because you end up looking like a fool and not the person that you're talking about. It's called being serious. We're here to have fun. We're here to play some ball. Have
It's
a
flag
good run.
football.
It's flag football. Yeah, that's exactly. It's flag
It's a
football, and
recreational
we're paying to
flag
play. It's not like Rob or somebody's paying us to play, and you know we can go on and do whatever we want. Because hey, I'm still getting my paycheck. No, not at all. We're here to have some fun. It's a playoff game. I understand it's a big win. The emotions are running high, and but to make threats or death threats or whatever or what have you, or to act like an ass,
Yeah.
it's no call for that. There's no room for that in FPF.
In the end, on our side, we didn't score on the first drive when after a 39-yard pass to the Daniel Bornstein. we couldn't convert. Then I threw the interception, and then we couldn't score on the last play. That's too many chances to win the game for us not to win the game. And it's for me, it's a harrowing feeling because it's 2 straight seasons that the season ends with the ball in my hand on the last play with the chance to win the game. It's a tough feeling.
It's gut-wrenching
There's
for sure.
There's nothing like that in any other position you play.
Mm-hmm.
There's just an overwhelming loneliness that comes with that, you know. And as quarterback, there's nothing that meets the high of winning a game, as I felt in 2 days. You know, nothing like the high of being the upset victor,
Yeah.
and then to just not pull it off and have that chance to win and just not do it is a frustrating and lonely feeling. Absolutely.
Wait, listen, here's a hoping you guys come back and play Division 6 in the winter and keep this rivalry going.
Hopefully we can keep our roster in Division 6 because unfortunately our team is very stats heavy.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I'm hoping the algorithm won't hit us too hard.
You know whose rating
Rob?
won't change for sure?
Mine?
Pieces.
It might
29
drop.
picks.
It might drop.
That's why he throws them, by the way.
Yeah, I do it on purpose. I was like, we clinched already. All right.
One for you, one for you.
Very generous.
Rob, nobody likes the rating systems. Get rid of it, please. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Well,
Keep all the stats the same.
you don't remember what before was
Yeah,
like.
no, I do. Yeah, I remember that.
I am the reason we had to implement a stat system, a rating system. So
Remember, I'll tell you a quick story. I remember 3 summers ago bringing in a kid Moore from my team. Like, all right, we got a kid. We're going to win this game for sure. And we played Simo's team, and they showed up with Marco. And literally,
Marco Masiotra, yeah.
yeah, and they kind of canceled each other out the entire game. I was like, all right, here we go. Yeah. Let's keep the ratings down, though. Yeah.
chat, where are we at in the show?
I don't know. What segment would you like? Would you like some chapernims?
Give us chapernims. Jesus Christ.
I love this. Please explain for the audience at home, please, what chapernims is.
Chapernims is when my useless producer gives us an acronym that we need to define, and then he will hopefully pay attention and choose the one he finds to be the best, and that will become the meaning of the chapernym, thus foregoing any learning because this show is not about learning.
Thanks. You stalled enough time for me to figure out which acronym I wanted to use.
It's funny, you pull back the veil. You let people know why we explain in the segment. So it gives you
No, it's not every week, but just specifically this week.
'cause you're not doing anything.
It was dual purpose, though. It's to piss you off and also to buy me some time.
Mhm.
So we're going to go with Lit. It'll be Litt. Like the character Lewis Litt.
Litt?
Yes, double T.
I have no idea who you're talking about, Lewis Litt. Sorry. No idea.
Well, we'll fill you in later, Brent. You don't need to know.
Appreciate it.
It's chat rooms.
Ladies in technological training.
I was going to use the word damn it. All right,
You can use the same
You
word.
can say the same word. It just can't be exactly the same.
Nah, I got to be original here.
The OG.
Damn. Leaders in technology? No?
Two T's.
Oh, 2 T's, my bad. Leaders in training technology. There you go. No, that was
Peace
horrible.
wins.
That was, yeah.
Peace wins.
I'm ashamed of myself on that one.
He shitted himself. Damn.
It's funny
my
because Chapman, after today, really did not want to give me the win.
No.
If you almost said anything else, if you
Yeah,
used
you'd
other
won.
letters, you might have won that. Chapman, what does that bring us to?
Games of the week.
So we'll each give a little bit of analysis and make our picks because we're running short on time. And Brent, you got to do this. Or did you do it in your article? No, you didn't do it for these games. So you need to do it for your next article anyway. So don't go too far in depth. But let's do it.
Or just give different analysis in your article. That way,
Just
that way,
do
that way you cover.
Make the opposite pick.
That way you cover both sides, and you're always right.
Speaking of which, Brent and I actually both covered some very heavy topics in our last article, and it's fun. It's honestly, writing for the league is great. We have some freedoms here, as Brent and I know, having written for other websites and such, that we don't get working for other organizations. So if you haven't had a chance to check out the articles, please do. We do them partially for us because it's a great place for us to have true freedom and
Be
true
creative and it's fun.
ability to be creative, exactly. And at the same time, it's informative, but and it's for you. We put that out for you. It's really to help you immerse you in the league and for you to enjoy.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can do that no matter how many catches you have.
I know where you're going with that one. I know exactly.
He
where you're
actually
going.
went there. He's not going. He went there, Red.
Go ahead.
All right. In our first game, we have Moss City versus Super Troopers.
You know what? I like the Super Troopers' effort in terms of how they played last night. They're an experienced and aggressive defense. I just don't think they have the manpower, if you will, to keep up with Moss City. I mean, Zach Sturm is great, but Moss City has a bunch of receivers who have to be defended against, and even switching sides defensively. I'm not sure if the Super Troopers defense can hold the speed of Moss City.
I see this game differently. I see them seeing Gabriel Wiseman and saying, hey, that guy looks like a handsome skeleton. And being like, he doesn't look like much. He doesn't, because, you know, he is a phenomenal athlete
Yeah.
who it doesn't look traditionally like you expect.
Fair enough.
He's tall, lanky, but man, is he quick, man, is he strong, man, is he tough.
He's smart, too.
He is incredibly smart.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you see a guy like him, you're like, oh, his success is because he's smart. Partially. He's also a very good athlete, and I think that combination is he's going to slow the game down. He's going to set the pace for this game. He's going to buy time against the rusher because the rusher can be as fast as he wants. It won't matter. He's just very elusive, and he'll buy time to make throws and just check down, and air it out when he needs to. And I think it'll be closer than people expect, and I think Super Troopers will come out with the victory.
I just think, so just quickly, if the Moss City gets a big, besides Zach Swerm and Zachary Albert-Gill, who else could the Super Troopers go to on offense?
They won't get a big. It's going to be a one-score game the entire way.
You think so?
Absolutely. And I trust Gabriel Wiseman to manage the game. And as for Moss City, you know, they're new. This is a new experience. Andrew Ferrier is definitely more explosive. I don't know how he'll respond to sitting on the bench for 5, 6, 7 minute drives.
Okay,
Expect each team to get 5 to 6 drives total.
Okay.
And I can see Gabriel Wiseman going for 5 touchdowns and Ferry going for 5 touchdowns, and Wiseman just completing an extra point or going for 2 and completing it. And
Okay.
the Gabriel Wiseman is a frustrating player to play against, and
Yeah.
that's how I see it. So you're wrong.
Okay. We'll see.
You won't see. You're wrong. I'll see that I'm right.
Homo sapiens versus.
Yamaha Station.
Thank you, Chapman. It's
Listen, some of the languages was not delayed. Some of the German one was like it took like 5 seconds.
it's weird because the Germans are known for their efficiency.
And not when it comes to pronunciation, apparently.
Brent, what do you think?
Or winning wars too. But,
Well, I don't want to go there.
That's gonna be an interesting game. I gotta give credit actually to Homo sapiens. I mean, they're a veteran team. They stayed and watched the entire Dirty Mike and the boys in Yamajo game afterwards. So obviously, there's a couple of things they're probably gonna take away from that. I think there's gonna be some key matchups tonight. I mean, Lonnie Johnson, a great receiver. He's not gonna beat you for speed, but he's a great run runner. GM as well, who actually does have a bit of length. But again,
It's funny that you switched from speed to length, though. That was awesome.
speed to length. There you go.
That's some skill, man.
There you go. Yeah, do what I can.
That's
my
the
friend.
writer.
Do what
That's
I
the
can.
writer.
Do what I can. But with Yamajo, they have that mix of speed, length, and smarts.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, with these guys, aggression. They will get into your face. I saw a lot of times last night. Even there was against the Mike and the boys, they wouldn't jam receivers at the line, but they would be literally 2 yards off the ball and going.
Because they're not scared of you running by.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. They're not scared of you running by because they're extremely athletic, and they're hungry. And again, with that aggressiveness, they'll get in your face and really challenge you to get around them and make a play. And again, in the first half of that game with Dirty Mike and the boys, who have a good offense, they really struggle to do that. Mind you, Homo sapiens have a better offense, but again, they're not going to have the athletic advantage over a team like Yamajo. I think Yamajo, if they could play a full game, not where they played last night, where they played basically the first 40 minutes offensively. If they could play a full game, I think they're going to come out with a W.
I look at Homo sapiens defense. GM Collectus 3 interceptions. Kevin Foster 2 interceptions. François Delorier 4 interceptions. Tristan Hetufranco 3. Harsan Kandia. Well, he's not playoff eligible. And John Moody also not playoff eligible. Just to say though, even with those guys that are not playoff eligible, all with multiple interceptions, what that shows you is this is a good group, like team defense.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to give Terrence Dobson a hard time because Terrence will buy time and then he'll put the ball up in the air and the windows will be tight. Despite all the athleticism, he doesn't get rid of the ball quick enough where the athleticism on offense helps him.
Okay.
So for that reason, I think that they're not going to blow any coverages and they're going to force mistakes from Terrence Dobson. So give me Homo sapiens.
Sorry,
are you done killing the mosquito?
I'm done. He's dead now. I'm sorry. It had to be taken care of. Next game. Greendale Human Beings versus Spartans.
Well, it's a rematch of the Week 9 matchup. Greendale Human Beings were lucky to get out of that one, 31-27. Spartans really should have won that game. I think right now, I want to say Greendale Human Beings, just based off of their play over the last couple of weeks, are primed for the upset.
I think we're seeing that because of last season. Because they don't look quite the same.
No, okay, it's that. I said it earlier before. That's part of the reason for sure. The other part is, to be honest, they haven't looked that great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I'm comparing it to last season, but even if I hadn't seen them last season, if I just saw them for the first time this season, I'd be like, you know what, this is a strong team. They could score on anybody. They create a lot of turnovers.
The one thing
impressive.
The one thing I'll say is Aylward's great at picking apart zones.
That's true.
And I feel that Spartans' defense, despite having great athleticism, they tend to play very far back, 7 yards back.
Yes.
And which is fine if your first step
Yes.
on defense is forward, if you're cutting off routes.
Thank you.
But they back off. They
100%,
back off.
100%.
I remember when I played against them,
Mhm.
I threw for 75% completion in that game. And the reason was, literally, they gave me every slant, every drag. And if the quarterback wants to do that against them, they will give it up. But I will say, with Joubinville, with Alexis Bissett, with Charles Martel, and the key role players they have, this offense is great. And on defense, Sumi Shan, 9 sacks in 2 games. Danny Aylward likes to move around, likes to run the ball. Sumishan is not a guy we know yet in this league, but he's been very effective the last 2 games.
You know what? There's an asterisk beside that. I think Sumi Shan is phenomenal speed wise as a rusher.
But he does take a very acute
Up
angle.
top, yeah.
He's played 5 total games.
Yeah, I mean, you know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what it is. I hope he's watching right now. So I mean, when you rush the passer, you have to. And I know your teammates talked to you about it too, because Alex told me after. You have to be 1 yard off the ball, off the bag. Pardon me, the 7-yard rush bag. If you line up closer to that or right on the bag, you lose your protection as a rusher.
Which, if I see it as a snapper,
you're gonna run right
running
into you.
right into
yeah,
you.
exactly. Knock you on your ass. Of course, you have to be 1 yard to the left or to the right. And then when you decide whatever you want to go to the left or to the right, do not cross over to the opposite side. Then when you start rushing, that makes no sense because it slows you down. As do the hesitation steps when you get to the quarterback.
and also when you change side, once the ball is placed down.
Yep.
It's not a commonly known rule in FPF. Once the snapper places the ball on the ground on the line of scrimmage, if you change side, you no longer have protection.
Exactly.
So when I play quarterback, for example, and I see that, I run to my snapper and I say he has no protection, which means your route is not a route anymore. You're not blocking. You're running a hook in front of the rusher.
That's exactly it. And again, I know his teammates have talked to him about it. So that's number one. With the defense, though, you're saying, because I had a chance to play against the Spartans this season too, you're absolutely right. Dale Messi, Daniel Hernandez, all those guys, great athletes, have a lot of speed. Messi, obviously, with the length, they take 1 or 2 steps back. I remember running hooks on the sideline against those guys. They were wide open. Then they would start cheating up, and I would run streaks. I'm not the fastest guy in the world, but I ran streaks, and I was wide open. And they don't communicate well on defense. And that's where some of the arguments happen, where they start arguing with each other and so on and so forth.
Yeah, don't tell me after the play what I gotta do. Tell me during the play
or before the play. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, there you go. That's exactly it. So again, as powerful as the offense has been with the Spartans, are powerful, but as impressive as they have been, and especially with the athletes they have on both sides of the ball, I want to pick them for the upset victory. But I think, despite the less than stellar play of GHB, I still think GHB is going to get the W, just because they don't have a lot of the issues that the Spartans have on both sides of the ball.
Hot Boys Hotline, primetime. Sorry, Chapman?
Hot Boys Hotline versus Primetime.
I'm going to go. This is going to be an interesting game.
No, it won't.
I was gonna say because you have Edward, or your best friend Edward Valamé, and even
I don't mind. I don't have any beef with the guy.
I say okay. I know they're not your Amano Trotta, but you know they got to be on your list somewhere. They have some speed and some athleticism, and they did answer the bell by beating you guys last night. I actually picked you guys to get the upset victory. But prime time, you guys almost did, honestly. But I think prime time is just too good for these guys. Stephen Harpersad is smart. He's not going to throw the ball. Well, he's going to have to throw it against Valamé at least once or twice. But he's not going to be baited into bad passes. He's just going to be smart and use what the defense gives him. Because there are weak spots in the Hot Boys Hotline defense. And I think Harpersad is going to pick them apart, sort of. Pardon me.
I'm going to read you a text I got from Chapman after a game when we finally got home from Brossard, which felt like a 3-hour drive home. He wrote, where was it?
Harpersad's better than you, Peas. I hate your guts.
He wrote, sorry, I got it here. He said, Hot Boys Hotline versus Primetime. Goodbye, Hot Boys Hotline. Cheerfully, too.
Hope you're watching, Eagle. Hope you're watching.
The thing is, Hot Boys Hotline's defense is far from perfect.
Yeah, it's true.
As much as Tom Gatehouse is somewhat beleaguered in the league, they win a lot of games from his pacing of the game. They're going to fall behind, and he won't be able to do that. And that's where Tom Gatehouse makes mistakes. On defense, Eagle will make adjustments, but Stephen Harpersad is very good at reading matchups and reading zones. And if he runs man, they're going to just run a lot of pick plays. And when they go to zone, he's going to find the holes in zone because he's very good at doing that. He's a quick reader. He's a good play caller. He's got a good arm. Give me prime time.
So essentially, you're saying what I just said. He's gonna basically
More words.
He's gonna basically
words.
take what the defense is giving him, and there are holes in the Hot Boys hotline defense. And as good as Valimay is, even Yearwood, there's not 5 of those guys, 6 of those guys to go around.
Yearwood's a very good athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, at times he plays too passively, and he breaks late, and he relies too much on his athleticism.
Okay.
And so a couple times last night, I threw a sideline to Lucas Blanchard, and he should have got there to at least break up the play. Instead, he's basically playing for the tackle, and that could be had, and especially given Harper says arms better than mine.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. That's what I'm saying. So as good as fine. I'll rephrase what I said. As good as Valimay is, again, he's playing for Montmorency. He's clearly the best player on that team. Mm-hmm. There's not 6 of him or 5 of him, if you will, to be on that field on defense to cover all the receivers. Josh Levine.
Just pick an Eagle.
Mark Ianello. Yeah, I don't want to say that, but it is what it is. You got to pick an Eagle and some of the other weak spots on your defense. And I think Harper will do that this weekend.
Yeah, Eagle's like the soft spot in a baby's head.
Deadly.
Final thoughts.
Yeah, man. I gotta say, we haven't had an overtime game yet. But last night, sitting there on the sideline,
there's a few that go close.
I was like, yeah, I think overtime's coming up. I was about to get my popcorn ready. Yeah, honestly, I've been impressed with the Divi playoffs so far.
They've been fun. They've been really fun.
They've been a lot of fun.
Honestly, I was texting with Eagle after our game too. I was like, even though we lost, that was a great game. That was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, a great game for sure. I'm pretty sure it's going to continue with the Elite 8 of the teams that are left this Sunday. So I can't wait to get down to Lachine. I have a game myself in Lachine, so I'll be there. My game, I believe, is at 10, so I'll be there for sure at 9 to watch the Super Troopers Moss City and Homo Sapiens Yamajo Station game, and it should be good. I'm excited.
Chapman, final thoughts.
Bees?
Yeah.
You got to order those mugs. You just got lit up. I want them now.
Right. We'll do it. Get on Amazon later. I am going to, in my going for 1, going for 2, I will go for 1 this week. I posted on the Facebook group. It's something we've been planning for weeks now. It's finally got posted. I got some clearance on a few things. We're changing what we're doing for the press conferences. Instead of having just the press conferences, we're going to have player interviews. And we're going to use a lot of that content for the finals package and a couple of events leading up to the finals. We're going to have our usual podcast, but instead of Wednesday night before the finals, it will be Thursday night. And then after the podcast, we'll head out to the front yard. We'll set up a temporary barbecue, have some hot dogs, some beers, and it's going to be on Facebook Live. We'll be continue talking because all we do when we get together is talk about FPF anyway.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'll try and clean up the language the way I do on the show because my normal conversations don't sound quite like this. It'll be fun. That'll be broadcast on Facebook Live. So let's say we're done with Division E podcast. We want to go out, have a chat, and have a hot dog, and you can get more content. You'll get more information on Division E based on our involvement, at the end of the show. So that's it. Thank you, Brent, for everything you've done. Thank you, Chapman, for nothing besides the sandwich, and most importantly, thank you all for letting me be myself.